turn.
Yes, that's also true. And it's sad because that's kind of like the skirmish and fight that composition really wanted. Like, split up, everyone gets to 1v1 someone, people get to go for their skirmishes, you actually get some value out of the Phantom Dancer Lucian, like that type of stuff. But yeah, I want to see Millenium, as I said at the end of the last game, go back to the Millenium formula. Go back to what worked in the regular season and has been going so well for you, because for every other series apart from the Inspire one in week 4, Millenium have been great because they've run the control mage mid lane. Pretty just does his farming thing, great into the mid game and whatever. Top lane plays like a tank, or even Fiora sometimes. Kazi can carry but doesn't have to. Like, he showed that he can do it. You don't need to show off to everyone now. Just like play what wins.
Whoa.
Twisted Fate ban against Pretty. Well, Pretty has played it before, and I guess Cadril doesn't want to pick it 2 games in a row, but it's just interesting since he did so well with it in game 1.
It's a pick that
don't have last pick, I guess.
We haven't seen a massive amount, if that makes sense. Like, he's not every game pick or banned.
Yeah.
And we, as you said, we know Pretty has played it, but I don't know whether it's that strong to ban. Like, I don't know how I feel about that.
Some players just have their quirks, right?
Oh, okay, hang on, sorry.
Okay.
A lot has happened here. Corki was banned last. Alistair is available. Nidalee is available.
Lulu got first picked.
Yeah, Lulu has been first picked. Wolves may be looking to set up kind of a protection comp now for Pinoy.
Maybe.
So for Millenium, what do they take here? It's got to be Alistair Nidalee, surely. Surely this first rotation has to be Alistair Nidalee. If you give away Lulu because you ban Corki, Kalista, Braum, that's like the only thing that makes sense. Unless you want to take the Lucian as well. Lucian, Alistair would be the other one.
Yeah. Possibly Poppy for top lane.
Oh yeah, Poppy is available.
Because that will be contested between Wicked and Kaze. Lucian, Alistair, still fine. Leaves up jungle. Copenhagen Wolves toying with the idea of Poppy as well. I personally like Poppy early into the rotation just because I want to deny it from like Kaze if I was Copenhagen Wolves, or vice versa. But then again, with the Poppy being locked in, you can flex at the top, and then isn't a great matchup for Poppy really. But we'll see.
I think also the Poppy is just going to be one of the strongest picks right now in top lane meta, with especially with some of the extra changes that happened to top laners from the Fiora. We didn't really see Gangplank top in a long time anyway. It's mostly a mid pick these days, but there were a couple of adjustments on this patch that really didn't touch Poppy and make her okay.
Yeah.
This is a fairly good protection comp set up already. Poppy will have her ultimate away, ultimate to blast people away if they get into the back line. So
and also Steadfast Presence, great against dashes, stops those assassins unless you're Zed. And
same with Ajana, you can just blow people away. It's all good.
So I guess the next question is, what's the carry going to be? Because it's almost certainly going to be from Pinoy now.
Cogmore is available.
Cogmore is.
If they want it.
Lucian's been picked up from Millenium, so they're not going to pick Cogmore now.
Well, you could lane swap and then get the Cog through the early game.
Yeah.
And then... Oh, sorry, you mean Millenium aren't going to pick it.
Correct.
I
Unless you go Lucian top and then Cogmore AD carry.
I don't think so.
I highly doubt it. Alright, Maokai, so Kaze getting back to tanks, and Rek'Sai for the jungle, so
this is a dive comp.
What about that Millenium formula we were talking about? Yeah, dive composition as well, as you just rightly mentioned, Stress. And
now all we...
I mean, they're gearing up for like whatever the carry is going to be from Copenhagen Wolves.
Well, now Millenium have like 2 options. You can either go something like a LeBlanc and just go diving straight on. Yeah. It's going to dive with everybody. Or you go for something, I guess Pretty's played a lot of Nivea, that kind of thing. Does give you a wave clear component. Yeah. Where you can kind of clear down. Victor would do the same. Give you a little bit more late game as well.
I mean, the other big pick from Pretty is Orianna.
That's true.
And you pair that with a Maokai and Alistair.
Yeah.
Like,
the ball goes in. Yeah. Shockwave. Yeah, that's a pretty good
that or Nivea, I think.
Yes, I think
out of his champion pool, I think.
Still strange to me that Nidalee is falling so far down.
I know. It's weird. Like, in one series it will get banned and super contested, and the other it will go Sivir. Yeah. That's locked in as well. So, okay. I wasn't expecting Sivir to be the pick that they, you know...
Well, one thing we haven't seen recently, so Sivir always used to, everybody would say, you know, her damage falls off, that kind of thing, which was fairly true. Lucky crit now in the late game. It's a lot of damage in a team fight, because Ricochet now crits. So if your first one hits, you can just play like pinball and crit everybody down the line. Last pick was that Orianna. So that was exactly What?
It wasn't a difficult prediction when
really,
it's just like Pretty has this champion pool. He plays Orianna. They pick Maokai and Alistar. Like, so.
All right, Professor Xavier.
We got it. We got it. Just telling a future there. But
the Civ is a kind of a strange one, mainly because you would expect this composition to go with like a Cogmore. Yeah. So I'm hoping we get to see how much damage Sivir has in the late game. The 2 games we saw from Holy Phoenix yesterday on Sivir, well, it weren't the best games. He got blown up very quickly in the games and couldn't really survive. So now we get to see another AD carry, maybe trying it. Pinoy had a good game last game. Yeah. Will he have the same this game?
I'm just wondering how the game's going to go now, because like before you had this composition that was going to go for team fights, and then you're going to have like a Cogmore or something, and you're going to try and blow people or keep Pinoy alive for as long as possible. Now we could get a game where they're just like wave clearing constantly. Like you have Janna for disengage, like Sivir just sits in the lane and wave clears. They can still get into a fight and disengage very easily, but now Sivir's ultimate feels more like a disengage tool than an engage tool. I could be proven wrong. We'll see as we get into this game. Remember to continue using the hashtags, hashtag CWWin, hashtag MILWin. I feel like the hashtag vote may change a little bit in this game, since it was 91% to Millenium.
It'd be like 90-10 instead.
Yeah.
10 bit of votes.
Yeah.
We know you guys on Challenger start, especially when we get into best of series, start turning your votes around. We saw it yesterday. We saw it in the best of 2s.
We know how you work now.
We know how it is. Glory fans?
Yeah. Nah. It's got the same guy just like voting on whoever won like the last game.
That's like going and playing roulette and being like 50 on red, 50 on black. It's like I'm losing some, but at least I'll have won something in the end.
There you go.
Like, net loss. Yes.
Nailed it. Don't take roulette advice from Stress.
No, don't. God, no. Please never do.
Okay. K-Draw. Just wandering down here. Not going to see a whole lot happen in this first couple minutes of the game. So what can we talk about? Well, let's talk about some of these matchups, though. Because Maokai returning to the top lane, he's kind of picked periodically. Like, Nautilus is usually the pick you pick up over him, but he does have, like, other nice interactions. Like, as we were talking about in Champion Select, it was more of, like, a dive composition on a potential, like, Cogmore pick. Now to pick Sivir, way harder for Maokai to get on top of him, because he won't get the snare. If it's spell shielded, he will get, like, the knockback and everything else, but it's harder for him to get on top of Pinoy, especially with the peel from EUCS, and also Pinoy's kind of, like, self-peel with his ultimate. Like, he's just moving too fast for Maokai to get in range. And Maokai never really picks, like, Righteous Glory anymore. So, unless he gets flanks with, like, Teleport and Home Guard, it's hard for him to get in range.
Just wondering if you have any experience with this, because it's not a matchup I've played. Yeah. Pop your Maokai W, you're untargetable, so Steadfast Presence will not block it.
Correct.
Because it's not a dash, you're untargetable and you appear at the other location. Yeah, I thought that was the case. Just wanted to double check that they didn't have another thing. Of course, it'll stop Rek'Sai, it'll stop Alistar, stop Lucian. Lots of things it will block, but that is not one of them.
Yeah, so nice into Poppy from Kaze. In terms of the matchup in top lane as well, he'll do a whole lot of queuing. And so Wicked, and then it will just kind of even out.
Can we call this the British top lane then?
Yeah.
There's a lot of queuing going on.
Yeah.
Maybe not so polite.
No tutting, really. That's such a British
Maybe that'll be us. We'll be sat here like the Miss Farm, and we'll just be like... Someone at home wearing headphones is just like, please stop tutting.
Someone's getting triggered. Alright, K-Draw mid lane. This is a farm lane. It's Lulu or Orianna. Let's go to bot lane. Pinoy and Nukesalot.
I don't want to see this lane anymore. Take it away.
Nukesalot and Handsammer. Actually, very difficult for Alistar to get in there, because a well-timed Howling Gale will stop his headbutt. There's a lot of disengage, even early into those levels. Sivir does have some problems against Alistar, because you block the headbutt, you can't block the Pulverize. And there's like no real window to like get hit by the headbutt and then stop the Pulverize. Like there's no like counterplay there. You can't just get it in like one frame. So yeah, there's some difficulties, but I don't know if Handsammer and Masswork can like decimate Pinoy Nukesalot.
Oh, this is not good for Joko.
You know someone's there, and it's definitely Ku. Lands a spear, and I think he's pretty dead. Oh, good flashes. And the knock-up as Ku is jumping in once again. The spear comes across and doesn't land onto Joko. I can't believe he survived that.
How has he survived? That was so good. And so very risky from Joko to stay alive in that whole sequence. He held his flash for pretty long. Ku also was a little greedy with his. Ku was trying to get Joko to flash first, so he didn't want to try and flash E because he knew the read would come out. But great knock-up from Joko, right as they went into that tri-bush to keep himself alive.
It was really well played there. Ku, because he's got the pressure, he can take some of these counts, but we're going to see that again.
So at this point, Ku, when he swaps here, could flash E and try and stop Joko from getting out, and then still have his W available. Chooses the W in, didn't do it quite fast enough, couldn't get in range for the E straight away, and Joko flashed out. So really tricky play from Joko, but kept himself alive. But you can see how much aggression Ku can put on Joko this early on, just from the Nidalee Rek'Sai matchup alone.
Yeah. I mean, he's still Nidalee, ultimately, and he's still chasing after
this
Joko.
This would be good for
he's
Joko,
actually taking a lot of damage from Krugs, and Joko turns around. Prey Seeker, or rather Queen's Wrath, is way more damage than Ku can really deal, because currently he doesn't really have any mana, so he got a heal out. But now Joko turns onto the Krugs and takes a lot of damage himself.
It's reset.
Ku forces the reset by pushing Joko away. Kaze and Wicked are trying to help out.
This is the most intense battle over Krugs.
Yeah,
I think we've ever seen.
You don't really see fights. You don't really see fights around that area. Like, you see them around like Raptors, but because that was like a prolonged fight all the way through the jungle, yeah, Krugs got involved.
Joko and Ku actually just fought each other from bottom side river, then up through top into the Krugs. It was the never-ending fight by the sounds of it.
And what has that meant for the game? Well, Ku is still ahead in terms of experience, but he was when this all first started. Yes, Joko was pushed out of his jungle, but then they just both backed. So I don't think there's any like a long-term, I want to say like long-term like health issues, like
long-term impact.
Yeah,
health issues. The game is still healthy. Everybody's got a well-balanced diet.
Yep.
Like Kadril maybe having a bit of trouble. He's getting Frost Queen's claim, so maybe he's, you know, a little cold. But honestly, I don't mind Frost Queens. We saw Faker do it at IEM.
So that makes it okay?
It does make it okay.
Yeah.
That actually is the best judge of whether something is okay at a minimum in League.
Did Faker do it?
Nobody is going to argue against Faker doing it. Well, Joko is...
I'm going to debate this play from Millenium. Both of them get knocked up from nukes a lot. That was a fantastic tornado. Hanshammer is now reacting, gets a bit of damage in there. Should be able to zone away Ku perhaps. Good exhaust before he can get the CC and the damage out. Pretty now rotating from the mid lane, looking to assist. Gets Howling Galed once again. Wild Growth was used on Ku, so he'll be staying alive. And Joko, that's a pretty risky spot to recall. Prey Seeker comes out though. He was recalling while he had the Tremor Sense. Pretty now comes in for the one-on-one, but Kadrill's over the wall, so it's not so much of a free kill anymore. This is a
really long fight.
This is a weird fight.
Nobody has died. Pretty had ult available with Pinoy and Sun Nuxalot sat on top of the ball. I think it was Pinoy. It may actually have been Kadrill. I don't have that 100% read. I guess, obviously, you don't want it spell shielded. Very easy read from Sivir if you're not kind of catching her out. Wicked.
Ooh.
Got him.
Kaze was trying to time it with W, but didn't have W. So.
Oh, Pretty could be in trouble. No Ignite here from Kadril means it should be fine.
Yeah.
Hammer's not great at chopping down trees, I'm going to be honest.
I don't know if you tried hitting a tree with a hammer, it does not go down.
No, it's not good. But that was a weird... honestly, this whole game has been weird.
Yeah.
In the sense that it's just fairly unorthodox how many fights we've had this early on that have resulted in nothing.
Especially with these like compositions as well. It's pretty weird.
Ku has kind of found Joko time and time again and got him so low. But then there's always been something around. Something has stopped him from getting the kill, whether it was Joko getting a good flash, or the Krugs dealing too much damage, or the support and AD carry coming up from Millenium. Like, oh, it's like watching a Scooby-Doo episode. Right? It's like, I would have got away with it if it hadn't been for those
meddling Krugs, or the meddling flash, or the meddling knock-up, or bot lane. Something's going to stop him here. It's going to be like a ward or, I don't know, something random.
Well, it won't be Kaze, because Wicked's gone onto him.
Kaze gets out of the damage from Hammer Shock, and Pretty. He may be the meddling kid in this one. Kadril takes a bit of damage, will pop his own ultimate. Joko's there to assist. Masterwork coming in from the side, so have to respect the cow. and the Rek'Sai.
Ult for ult. That's why it looked like the shockwave did no damage, because right at the same time that the ult came out, I'm like, huh,
how did the shockwave heal? Well, Ku was trying to steal away this blue buff and may still get it. Joko's gonna have to drag it back to his side of the map. Come with me. I'm gonna go on Gromp instead.
Ku is desperately trying to fight Joko at all times.
1v1 me, that's all I want.
I mean, Nidalee into Rek'Sai can do this. Yeah, I mean, you can actually contest almost every one of the camps from the Rek'Sai. EUCS here. I mean, Masterwork is as well, but Joko does have to be careful.
Ku's not face planting walls anymore, so
he's back used to 7-ping.
Yeah. I'm gonna say game 1 was just due to that. But let's look at some of these completed items, because Frost Queens, you were talking about before, has been picked up. Top lane, fire does work against trees, so gonna go for the Balmy Cinder.
So from all of this fighting in a standard laning phase where nobody has really done too much, Hans Sama hasn't been back yet.
Okay.
Has 2,900 gold. The Sivir, who had an opportunity to back earlier, got a longsword and a cull, sat on 2,000 gold, with the cull already over halfway. So these 80 carries are just charging up right now. This is going to turn into like a first item buy for Hans Sama. He just completely buys outright.
Like, Essence Reaver.
Yeah.
No boots, just Essence Reaver.
Straight up, no pods, no
Wicked
wards.
might have kill pressure here though with Ku. The spear lands onto Kaze. First blood, he'll have to burn flash though. Last tower shot would have finished him off. So that's the first kill of the game. It was fairly cut and dry.
Traded for Dragon at the same time. Wolves won't have the pressure to get the turret from this, so they can't actually even up the objectives. So overall, Millenium are probably happier with getting the team-wide buff for the kill.
But Kaze, he's not going to be happy.
Yeah, Kaze...
Joko, pretty handsome and masterwork. It's like, you took one for the team, bro. Don't worry about it.
Thanks, Kaze. Well, he's Maokai, so it's not like a Maokai dying once has the same effect that like Riven dying early, and this is why, because here comes the dive. Masterwork, ultimate available. Kaze, ult is not quite available. Quarter of the way up.
Flash W, Kaze, there's just too much CC for EUCS to survive. Flash knock up Pinoy will probably be under the same fate. Hans Sama will secure the kill with Piercing Light. Meanwhile, mid lane pretty in the 1-on-2. Nice double ultimate comes in, but Ku locks him out with another hunted passive. We have to chase him down for a kill in the middle lane. So after all of that, we have evened up the tables 2-2.
Copenhagen Wolves have got the more gold right now in general. They are ahead on this one from the farm, from top and middle lane, and from the jungle as well. They're about to extend that lead even more with this middle lane pushing down. Millenium are not pushing bottom lane all the way out, and Wicked is pushing top. With no teleport available for Kaze, this tower should go down, if not on this wave, the next time Wicked pushes up. No, this has gone down.
It's totally dead.
There was a big hit from Wicked there to chunk it down. So Wolves still, despite the plays that Millenium are making, Wolves are creeping their lead further ahead. So this took a while for this play actually to orchestrate itself. In goes Kaze and Masterwork. They get the kills. It's easy to get these kills, 4 versus 2 under the turret, but mid lane, Ku's already reacting. Pretty was too far pushed up, not enough when it comes to safety on that middle lane. No real wards to keep him alive, and he goes down.
The rest is history. In terms of engage for like top laners, that is one of the safest ways to go. I'm gonna hold that for a second as Masterwork jumps in. Bit of damage comes out from Masterwork. Ku is coming in from behind. That doesn't mean there'll be a reaction play from Pretty. Spear comes out just preemptively. And Hans Sama is being pushed up against this tower. They have to be a little careful. This will be a 4-man collapse into the bottom lane. Masterwork will instantly pop the ultimate. Hans Sama should be dying here. He doesn't have an unbreakable will, unfortunately. Spear lands from Ku. Good knockback from Masterwork, knocks him into tower, but the tower aggro is actually just still on the minions. So Millenium aren't able to properly punish Copenhagen Wolves, who send 5 people down there. Wicked just teleports in for the fun. Charging up the ultimate. They just want this tower.
Wicked joined in early as well. That's pretty important that they're getting this tower right now, because again, it's just consistently increasing the lead that the Wolves have. Millenium used so much on that bottom play and couldn't convert it into an objective past the kills. And Wolves just go, okay, well, we'll make the same play, and then we're going to push up on the bottom tower. Now we're going to push the inner tower and force you to commit something to holding this. Even if they only get half the health here, it allows Wolves to come back now in a couple of minutes' time and take an inner tower pretty easily. This is just Millenium not being able to react to what the Wolves are throwing at them.
The Wolves are throwing a lot more than they were through the rest of the split. What were they doing? Were they sandbagging? Like, it's like, this is not the same. Maybe they're just holding sandbags now. The training gloves are off and it's just like throwing punches. This is crazy. Like, there's more macro strategy we're seeing from Copenhagen Wolves. Every single player is just performing way better. Yes, they've had like a couple of roster swaps since, you know, before in the season. But if anything, you feel like that's given them less time to prepare. But it seems to be all fitting together. It's just not what I was expecting to see from Copenhagen Wolves.
And Hans Sammer and Masterwork from Millenium just haven't really had the same success in this series yet than we've seen. And that was one of the biggest departures in week 4 for Millenium, was Hans Sammer and Masterwork were not getting things done bottom lane. And again, they're in a rough spot where they've got a minor lead when it comes to CS, but all of the action has been in favor of Pinoy and SirNuxalot when it comes to the last 2 games. SirNuxalot and Pinoy, yes, they've died once each, but the tower is down. They've had gold from elsewhere on the map, and that has allowed them to stay relevant in this game, and they're not getting crushed by Hans Sammer and Masterwork.
Pinoy is also close to the core spike, so Pinoy is never going to die in these team fights, by the way. Like, ever. Because, like, Wicked in front, Cadro with ultimate and peel, nukes a lot, and the fact he has ultimate, like, he's actually just not going to die. And that will be a serious problem because he's just been farming for this entire early game. Yes, so has Hans Sammer, but he doesn't have the same... well, he does have a front line, but it's not the same in terms of peel that Copenhagen Wolves have. Right
now as well, Millenium haven't itemized any armor. It's a little too early for them to have yet. You can see Kaze still sitting on bits and pieces of different items here. When it comes to the Righteous Glory from Kaze, you know, the Spectre's Cowl as well. None of this is itemization towards the Sivir that's going to become a problem, and Wicked obviously will have a fair amount of AD. Wolves have a deceptive amount of damage in a protection composition, because Poppy provides damage, Lulu, Nidalee, all of these things have their own sources of damage, so it's not all on Pinoy's shoulders. So he won't die, plus the rest of his team are doing some of the work for him too.
Very true. There's a Righteous Glory actually now completed. It's kind of 50-50. Like, I'm seeing some Korean, like, Maokai's go for, like, Rod of Ages over Righteous Glory. I'm seeing, like, the reverse. So it just depends what you need in the game. And in this game, you definitely need Righteous Glory for the engage here, just to get Masterwork in range, or even Kaze, so they can jump on priority targets and then land the Pretty's ultimate on top of it. It is worth mentioning Copenhagen Wolves have gotten ahead early and picked up those towers, but Millenium still have a really good team fighting composition.
They do. The thing for Millenium, though, is speaking about why they haven't itemized the armor, it's because of how good Ku's been playing early on. Always wanting to fight, always wanting to trade, and it means the magic resistance had to come out even from Joko. Spectre's Cowl onto a jungler early is not something you would normally see. If you're going magic resist, you'd typically go towards the Aegis. Or at least that's what junglers would do a long, long time ago. Spectre's Cowl is an odd one.
I think you raise a really good point. I don't know if we've praised Ku enough in this game, because he put so much pressure in the early game. He's had 100% kill participation, also because he picked up every single kill.
That's the best way of having it.
But yeah, he's been all over the jungle, putting down so much pressure, making all of these ganks happen, always been in the right place at the right time. And I was questioning that, because in the first time we saw him play in Week 5, yes, he made some good reads, but they weren't difficult reads to make. Now, he's just being just as proactive, and now we're seeing it against a better team. We're seeing it against Millenium, who are typically very good on the macro play. So, yeah, I mean, hats off to Ku. He's performing pretty well in this series and in Challenger in general.
And he's forcing this game to a point where Millenium aren't strong enough to team fight. This game is starting to get really out of control for the Wolves. They just finished off that bottom inner tower. Top has been chunked down, so now it's just a case of bringing the Sivir to the top lane. Masterwork is out on his own. He's dead. Either that or he has to flash, and he's used his ultimate.
He pops the ultimate. Because Pretty's there, I think he's good to go. He gets Dissonance. If he didn't have Dissonance, he'd have to burn Flash, because he took a bunch of damage from Boomerang Blade as it wore off.
So at the time, Pretty was running back behind his mid inner tower and actually looked like he'd just taken his hands away and just was like, I'm not helping you out of this. So he changes his decision at the last moment, but they didn't even need Sivir to come top. Look, Ku's already got this. Even if he dies here, it's worth.
Flash, and he may not even die. Well, there's the culling and double tap from Hans Tower, so gets him shut down. But yeah, he took the tower, and that's an inner turret at 19 minutes, just getting there now. So he did his job. Like, that's a def you're happy to take any day of the week.
However, do Millenium continue to push from this? Wolves are backing away. They have a fair amount of mobility when it comes to the extra movement speed that the Lulu had there, the Janna had. Can they take this mid tower is the question. Their minion wave in front of them is fairly small. It's only a cannon minion, actually. And it's gone. So you'd have to dive past this, take out the 2 members standing behind it, while there's a Lulu, while there's a Janna, and then push on. Pretty's in trouble.
There's an ultimate, once again, used defensively. Has to flash as the exhaust is used.
Wicked's coming in from behind.
Is following after. Clifflands catches him. The second one coming in from Cagel. He thought he sidestepped it, but there's another one coming. Kaze pops the Rise of Glory. He'll have to flash, then jump on Nukes a lot, but there's actually no one around. I mean, Masterwork's now coming in now, but he simply doesn't have the damage. These are just straight up misplays coming in from Kaze and the rest of the team. Kaze pops the ultimate, is tanking up a lot of the damage, but ultimately there's nothing Masterwork can do to help his ally.
And Pinoy's getting the mid tower at the same time. Millenium are falling apart in this game. They've taken a composition that relied heavily on team fighting, and then not really reacted to anything that the Wolves did in the early game. Ku caused such a problem for Joko early on, and meant that Joko couldn't really do anything in this game. Okay, so here's the engage. So Pretty was chunked down. Again, Kadril gets his ult out onto himself at the same time as the Shockwave, so the Shockwave actually doesn't do anything. Pretty dies. Why does this TP complete from Kaze? He's 3v2, he's 3v1
and then why flash?
And then he flashes forward to try and get out because he thinks, oh, well, I can kill Sir Nukes a lot. He's gone Righteous Glory. He's not Rod of Ages. Maybe if you have Rod of Ages, you have the damage for that.
Not even double Durans.
Yeah, it's... I laugh because of your rant about double Durans, but this is perplexing in this game. All credit to the Wolves.
Hey,
they've been playing really well in the early game, but ever since Millenium have just played into their hands.
It's definitely like column A, column B, right? Like Copenhagen Wolves are turning up, Millenium are definitely making misplays. First one was the draft, second game just in the plays they're making in-game. This is an engage by Kaze. That was a great spell shield by
from
Pinoy.
behind.
Wicked is looking for the collapse to come in here. He has the ultimate ready to go. The Keeper's Verdict will lock down someone. Masterwork's ultimate was so incredibly late. Now he'll flash away into his team. He'll allow Wicked to get in range. Hammershot comes out. Joko gets a good disengage. Fantastic ultimate out from Pretty. Good sidestep from the ultimate coming in from Wicked. But now Copenhagen Wolves should be able to run over Millenium. Double kill. Look at the bouncers from the Ricochet. And Pinoy just murders everyone on Millenium. 3 for 1. Ku goes down for the privilege of taking those kills, but they'll get the middle lane inhibitor turret probably off of this. The wave is dead when there's a Sivir there.
Millenium just pushed up on a mid-outer tower when they have none of the outer ring left for themselves, with almost no vision in the river. They have one pink ward that was spotting one entrance. They didn't have their flanks warded. They didn't have any of the jungle paths available to them. Wicked just runs up. The Wolves collapse from the top side as well. Look at how this fight sets up from so early on. From here, if you were to freeze frame that, you could instantly tell Millenium should not be pushing, just from the vision that they have here. They knew Wicked was coming up from that river ward, and they still commit under the tower. Kaze commits under tower with flash onto a Sivir that you know has spell shield up with your W, that has a wind-up animation of about a second, that you just pop that E at the end.
Watch the bounces from Pinoy.
And here comes the bounce.
Ugh, that's so dirty.
I really do not know what Millenium are doing in this series, because Millenium, I feel like, saying exactly what they said against Banditos in the qualifiers for Challenger, which is, we'll win late game.
Yep.
We'll get behind, we'll win late game.
I mean, not when you fall 8,000 gold behind.
It worked against Renegades Banditos, but it's not working here because the Wolves are just a better, more well-rounded team. They're more experienced at playing from ahead, and are closing these games out very convincingly.
Not only that, Banditos also had a composition that as soon as they start getting stalled out, they're screwed.
Yes.
Like, if you stall out here for like 5 minutes, Copenhagen Wolves isn't going to care. Pinoy's going to get strong and strong until he hits 6 items. They have plenty of room to grow.
Well, that was the Sivir ultimate pop just to get herself away, but one thing we haven't spoken too much about. Teleport's coming in. I'll mention this after.
All right, masterwork. So try and zone people away. Wicked gets a good ultimate there onto Handsama and
all the
Pretty.
damage.
They're able to group up once again, but now as they're all stacked, Wicked has already used to keep his verdict, so there's nothing really to keep them in place. Good hammer shot will attempt to do that. Pretty will be backing away here just into the base.
There's some critical problems for Millenium here.
Wicked keeps up the chase though. Ku's trying to get on top of Pretty, and I think he might have the assassination flash by Cajol. He'll take him down with help picks. The instant damage, you can't dodge away from that. And 40 seconds on the death timer. Copenhagen Wolves may actually just close out the game in 24 minutes.
They are. This is going to be the game here. There is no shockwave available from the mid laner to deal any kind of damage. I'll touch on this after the game.
This is last chance saloon for Millenium to make something happen in this game, but the first Nexus turret goes down. They're trying to fight for their lives. Joko will be falling. Wickwood will CC him up. Kaze jumps into the fight, but all his damage dealers are dead. And as I say that, Hamsama also drops. No one from Copenhagen Wolves is even really damaged. Koog even gets the ultimate on top of him. There goes the exhaust. There goes the Nexus. Copenhagen Wolves 2-0 in this series against Millenium.
Wolves are looking really good, and Millenium are looking pretty bad, unfortunately for them. There are some critical errors in this game for Millenium. Not respecting teleports when it comes to making a play and then backing off and just leaving their bottom lane alone to deal with two people under a tower, and then Rek'Sai is kind of like trying to get there. There are some bigger issues than that, by the way. There was so much action in that game, I only just had the opportunity to look at the items pane properly. Janna had Talisman. So not only have you got Sivir ultimate for the Wolves, you've got a Talisman of Ascension, which means everything is just a go. Just everybody run at them. So there was no way of Millenium to disengage any of those fights. All they had was a dive comp. And then you're like, okay, well, we have one saving grace. Surely we've got this Orianna. It's pretty. He's such a good player on Orianna. He's got so much experience on this. He's got a Rod of Ages and a Morellonomicon. He's not doing damage in those fights. Ever. With that item build at that point in the game, you've got no Rabadons. You've got no needlessly large rod item. So your Shockwave's not going to do anything. All it'll do is displace. Not that that loses you a game, but certainly doesn't help you win it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm literally just flabbergasted. Like, we didn't have a lot of time to talk in that game because it ended in 25 minutes. We saw the first game yesterday, Huma versus Inspire, was like, it's probably the most clean game we've seen all season. Just did it in another minute just before that. Like, Copenhagen Wolves, I did not expect to run over Millenium this hard, and now they're 2-0 in a best-of-5 series. In Millenium, the team that pretty much everyone thought, 91% of the fan vote thought they were just going to sweep this series, and now it looks like they could just be knocked out, not even going to promotion tour, not even going to the finals, and Copenhagen Wolves are going to clean sweep them. It's actually crazy. But we're getting too complete. We're going to jump to a quick break while we set up for the third one. So we'll be back right after this short break.